Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're having a great and wonderful day, and I hope this story does not ruin it. However, we have some unfortunate and maybe scary news coming from Russia, which is normally a Russian state TV, which is threatening us with nuclear strike on the U.S. Now, I think the last time we had it about 3 years ago, where Biden was not in office, we had Donald Trump, there was more peace from Russia than there was anything else coming from actual violence. Now that he's been in the actual, I would say, in the actual seat of power for the past 3 years, we have mounting nuclear strikes and closer to World War III than ever before. And I think this has a lot to do with also the evil people that are behind him that are also trying to construct this war as well. Along with, the evil Republicans that are also trying to fuel this war. Nikki Haley, I see you. Okay, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have this. Russian state threat TV threatens nuclear strike on the U.S. A Kremlin propagandist has issued the latest nuclear threat against the West regarding the war in Ukraine, warning that the U.S. could be in danger of a Russian missile attack. Igor Korochenko, which I think that's how you pronounce his name. I apologize if I pronounce any of these people's names wrong. Editor of the newspaper National Defense and a regular guest on the Russia One channel, where guests have repeatedly called for strikes against Ukraine's allies, took exception to criticism of Russian conduct in the war. Russia is being warned and threatened that if we misbehave, or if NATO senior member for logistics Ben Hodges' opinion, we exceed that he considers to be the necessary permissible lines for the use of all types of Russian weapons. He threatens us with more than just strikes on the Crimean bridge, Korochenko said. Hodges has repeatedly called for Ukraine to be provided with all the weapons it needs to retake Crimea, such as ATCMs, which would allow long-range precision strikes on the peninsula Moscow annexed in 2014. Korochenko said that Hodges believed the U.S. might consider strikes on the bases of Russia's Black Sea Fleet and troops in Crimea, as well as strike Russian naval bases in Tartus, Syria. Korochenko believed these were not just statements of a retired hawk, but also concerted information campaign designed to influence both us and a Western audience. While the U.S. is the biggest provider of the military aid to Ukraine, it has taken pains to avoid direct confrontation with Russia and has made no threats of attacking the targets that Korochenko referred to. But Korochenko said there should be a discussion about what will determine the use and permissibility of tactical nuclear weapons, what goals and what tactics we will use. The most important message we should send to the Americans is that we will not wage war with you in Europe, he said in a clip subsequently posted on X, formerly Twitter, by Ukrainian Internal Affairs Advisor Anton Goroschenko. In response to your attacks on Russian military or civilian facilities, the first strike will be a preventative limited strike against targets on the territory of the United States of America. He told the anchor of 60 Minutes, Giovanni Popov, last week. Russia announced that the Cermat strategic system, which can teach the U.S., had been put on combat duty. Attention United States, wrote Goroschenko next to the video. Russian propagandists threatened with nuclear strikes on the U.S. territory. In response to Korochenko's comments, Hodges told Newsweek that the U.S. administration was finally realizing that the likelihood of Russia using a nuclear weapon is extremely small. Russia has been threatening nuclear strikes since the beginning. I take them seriously because Russia has thousands of nuclear weapons and because they clearly don't care how many innocent people may die. Well, that is true. But I think they realize that their nukes are actually most effective when they don't use them. They see how we self-deter. Crimea is a decisive featuring of this war, said Hodges of the peninsula, which has been stepping up attacks believed to be carried out by Kiev, including the Kerch Bridge that links the occupied territory with the Russian mainland. Once Ukraine liberates Crimea, it is over. Ukraine knows they cannot ever be safe or secure or rebuild their economy as long as Russia occupies Crimea, Hodges added. That may well be true, but how many more lives or how many more dangers that we are going to be in if Ukraine is doing this? Not only that, I have mentioned before that Ukraine is also very, very corrupt. So there's a lot of things that are going on, especially with the Biden situation. What we need to actually realize here is that Russia is a threat, but at the same time, we have to say that Russia is also doing a lot of these threats. Again, we have this here. Russia deploys Satan II missiles, what we know about nuclear-capable weapon, which I don't think we really need to know what they're capable of to the extent. All we essentially need to know is that anything that pertains to a nuclear weapon is not good. It is not pretty. It is not something that we want, and probably something we should avoid at all costs. So that's also another thing. We're not going to really go onto this because what we know what a nuclear capable weapon is capable of. I don't need to know. Again, it's more massive destruction, so probably not getting hit by it and avoiding a war at any cost is probably the best method than having to worry about how much damage it's going to do, considering the fact, we don't want to get hit by it regardless. So we have this as well. We have North Korea says it has simulated a nuclear missile attack to warn U.S. of nuclear war danger. So, yeah, this is what's been going on. So North Korea is also doing these threats. However, we have this, all right? Donald Trump had the brass balls of steel and pretty much saying that, well, Korea, if you come and nuke or Hawaii or any part of the U.S., I'm going to turn your country into glass. That's putting a step forward of saying that if you do anything to my country, to our people, I'm going to eliminate you. And that's pretty much what it's saying. And what we need to do here as well is have a firm standing only against Russia. Again, we need to make sure that we just don't go to war with these people. And we don't need to go to war with Russia or China. Again, China is waiting for the U.S. to do something and pertaining to actually attacking Russia or attacking North Korea. Because then that would lead them to being more responsible and reasonable to attack and go to war with the United States. We don't need this. And I may believe that our communist, fascist warmongers in the U.S. are in our government are probably the biggest threat of us all, mostly due to the fact that they just want to continue doing this war. We could tell that they're probably most likely making a lot of money for this. We have learned that they do make a lot of money for this when it comes down to the when our boy from what's his face? What's his name from the actual to do OMG here? The man that pretty much exposed this type of situation in the first place, and it's very concerning in this instance. I'm actually drawing a blank too here about who it is, which is the most concerning thing. It's from OMG, which is the person that did this. But of course, James O'Keefe, which was the man that brought out that the guy was talking to him, that they actually make money from this. So this being said, this is a huge issue that's pertaining to what's going on, and I think a lot of our corrupt people are people that are doing this type of stuff. Are probably going to push us to world war, especially to probably keep us from Donald Trump winning. They keep him to stay in power to probably push us to world war, but I don't know. This is also speculation, but we can't leave anything out about our political people. Again, I think this is just a threat. I don't think Russia is actively going to do this because it will spell massive disaster in every single regard. Because if they actually did this, then this would make Poland and many other countries go against Russia, and it would not be in their favor whatsoever. They cannot, if they're having trouble taking out Ukraine, then they're going to have immense amount of trouble taking out anybody else, especially if it's China, which I don't think China would want to go against the U.S. in any particular way if Russia ends up being stupid. We also have reports where China has not been liking what Russia's been doing as of recently either. So there's a lot of propaganda, a lot of crazy stuff happening. But I think I will report this on just to let everybody know what's really going on and what some of the things, where our country is being heading. And this is the reason why our votes is the most crucial thing right now. We need to vote correctly. We need to get the right people in office, because if we get people like Nikki Haley, our country is going to World War III, and that's going to be pretty obvious. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care.